Welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, helping military veterans and first responders transform their lives from the bed into the wardroom. This week we are in the superhero battle room, right back there. One button, everything goes. But we're not pressing buttons today. We're going to go and change lives by awesome interviews with people that transform from war hero to superhero. And today I got a person that's a legend in the podcasting world. It makes you look like nothing. So this man is going to go over and tell us his transformational story from war hero to superhero. And Jeffrey's going to join us live in the feed. So, hey Jeffrey, do I have you?
You do. There was a little bit garbled as it was coming, but it's good. I hear you, and it's great. Good to be here, man. Thank you.
Cool. Wanted to thank you for joining the Superhero Battle Room, and we'd love to go hear your war hero story and how you transformed your life from military to like podcaster extraordinaire.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting, man. I mean, it's been a journey, right, all the way through. I think that one of the coolest things was that I didn't even know what podcasting was. Like in my military time, I was really focused on the military. I would say that I spent more time being a soldier than anything else, right? I mean, that's to include I thought I was a good dad, but I kind of neglected some things at home. I thought I was a good husband, but I neglected that situation. I mean, I really just wanted to be a great soldier. So throughout the time, I just spent a lot of time learning, and I don't even know if I was a great soldier, right? So I think a lot of times I thought I was doing the right thing, and I hit a lot of bumps along the way, got a lot of butt chewings along the way, and I kind of learned some things. It's just about myself and growth, and really all of that. When it came time for me to decide to stay or go, at 20 years, I decided to jump out and try my luck in the civilian workforce and workplace and entrepreneurship and podcasting and a million other things. And really, it hasn't let me down thus far. I'm thankful for where I'm at, and I'm thankful for the experiences that the military gave me and everything in which it had to offer. And now here I am trying to make my way as a private again, working through those steps in this side of the world. Right?
Yeah, so that's amazing that you did 20 years and were able to retire. But how was it when you got out? Was it a good transition? Was it a bad transition?
It was a transition. Doctor or Colonel retired Dr. Russ Barnes always calls it a transformation as opposed to a transition. For me, my story's a little different, right? So, you know, I don't know about you, and I'm not. I've had crazy amounts of transition stories. I don't think mine was bad. I got to be honest with you. I decided to open a business April 28th of 2017, and I retired effectively April 28th of 2017. And while I was on leave, I was doing business just really, really backwards, right? I mean, I just wasn't doing it right. And can't come around September 1st. I told my wife if my business isn't making enough money or any money to help us sustain moving forward, because I don't want them to have to change their lifestyle based on what I decided to do. So I got a job, man. I started selling cars at a Ford dealership because, to be honest with you, I really had zero excitement about being a DoD contractor or a GS civilian. I really wanted to break away from that realm and do something completely different on my own. And it was interesting. But while, as luck would have it, I sold a car to a buddy of mine who actually was a GS civilian, and I got told of a job that existed, a government contract job. So I applied because the hours selling cars, by the way, amazing. I loved it. I like to talk to folks. I like to hear stories. I mean, it's just amazing. And selling cars gave me that opportunity. It also gave me 76 hours of work a week, which that wasn't conducive to why I retired. I retired to spend more time with my family. I retired to business and be successful in that realm, to support my wife as she had her pursuits of dreams and things that she wanted to accomplish. So selling cars just didn't fit the bill. So I got a contracting job, and that's actually how I negotiated what was how many hours do I have to work a week, not so much the contract as far as dollars and cents, but more so do I have time to do the things in which I'm trying to do. So to me, it's been simple. I mean, I think psychological things, if you will, like there's no more phone calls, I mean, and some of that is a good thing, meaning that I wasn't getting woke up at 2 or 3 in the morning, go pick up another from the jail, but it's the phone calls that I missed. Hey, Sergeant Major, what could you do to do this? If you were going to do this, what would you do? Those types of calls kind of abruptly stopped. And now I still get them every so often, which is good. I mean, it's still a positive thing, but now they're more phone calls of I'm getting ready to transition. What can
Hmm.
you tell me about X, Y, and Z? And I love that. It's still keeping me connected to kind of the people who grew me, right? I mean, I owe the Army all of my success. I mean, a lot of folks have good stories, bad stories, whatever, but everything which I've achieved in my life truly is based on a lot of the things in which the Army gave me and prepared me for, if that makes sense to you.
No, it does. Yeah. Sometimes some people get empowered by the branch that they're in, and other people feel they've got disempowered from there. And that's a cool story because you don't hear too many of those. I was just on my other interview yesterday, and I've only heard two really good stories that people got out like, oh, it was a breeze. Yeah, maybe I pivoted a job here or two, but wasn't too many of people that have gotten out and been successful. So it'd be nice to rewrite the script in that regard. So these stories are great to say, hey, we don't need to just keep having the bad stories. Let's go make some of the good stories. And then as we take our good stories and even the bad things we went through, and let's make better stories for those people.
Sure, I know, agreed wholeheartedly, and I also think that if we could understand there's some I mean accountability, right? Self accountability
Mm,
of things that you have to do in order to make that transition. A lot of folks, because the transition process for those that aren't retiring, I mean, the retirees have a little bit of a cushion, right? They're getting a
mhm,
retirement. Some get disability, some don't, but there's a little bit of money out there. Folks that are getting out after their first or second, you know, stint, right? The problem is that contract as it expires, that they don't want to go through these programs, right? It's just another check
mhm,
block, and they know they just want to get out of here. So I don't
mhm,
think they put as much effort into those programs that exist that they have to make it successful. So and then after whatever their plan was, Buddy was going to give him a job, my uncle was going to give me a job, and those things
mhm.
kind of fall through, and they're not getting that satisfaction. Now they turn back and look and say, no one helped me on my way out, but did they really not have the help, or did they just were just not really, they didn't want to take it? You know what I mean? It's I think it's a half a dozen in one, six in the other. I think it's a lot of different perspectives, right? That's just my thought anyway.
No, I agree. I've been in the taps twice, once on active duty and once in reserves, and I took it way more seriously in the reserves than compared to active duty. You're getting out and you have your own plans, but you're not playing chess. You're playing checkers when you're in that taps, when you're in active duty. You're like, boom, boom, boom. Okay, I jumped over and got a king, but now I didn't realize I was playing chess when I got on the civilian world, and didn't think of those things, and didn't have the wisdom. So I think it's part programs need to change, but also part our mindset needs to change and say, hey, you're truly making a transformation when you're getting out. That's why I don't like the word transition too often. That's why we use transformation at War Hero Superhero. You are transforming your bedroom to boardroom. Everything changes. You might be in the same room, but it's not going to look the same when you get out.
Right. And all that, you're exactly right, man. I love listening to that. And I think that it's interesting to me how many resources actually exist out there. I mean, I'm actually just it's overwhelming the amount of stuff that exists. Like you cannot. It's actually. I would love to find someone if they did it, but I believe it to be impossible to truly reach out to every single transition type
Mhm,
resource that exists, from Veterati to Four Block to. I mean, go through the numerous things. I mean, you got Centurion Military Alliance. I can name drop a million different places. Hiring heroes.
mhm,
It's just there's so much to do, or there's so much out there to use. But again, it just gets lost in the minutia, and a lot of people don't they don't even know where to begin in order to do it. And it becomes overwhelming, and you got to have someone that can break down that and kind of decode what is good, what is bad, what is vetted, what is someone trying to get over on the veteran or whatever the case may be.
mhm,
So many programs that are just out there that are killer. I mean, they offer so much um, you know, to the transition that you gotta they have people have to take it upon themselves to do some research and actually reach out to these organizations, because of the fact that we're in a virtual environment right now where
mhm.
some cities things don't exist. Well, this pandemic, unfortunately, it exists. It's also opened a silver lining for the ability to use this type of platform, like using StreamYard, or whether it's Zoom or whatever the platform is, to go and get involved with some of these programs that don't exist in the current city you're in. You can do it from your office, right, or desk or computer or wherever you're at.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing. And that's, in going over and growing that and having that opportunity and to hear that voice and to know where that goes. So that's fantastic. And I'd love to go hear more about how did you even get into this space? So you did the war hero, 20 years, Army, got out, dived into some things. How did you get into this podcast extraordinaire? Because I went to MIC SA like a year or two ago and meet you, and I was like, wow. I'm like, amazing. And it's like, you're still growing things with Military Creator Con and everything else. I think they had the PodFest Global Summit. It was like the world record just recently. Like, how did you go over and transform your life to now this influential podcaster and veteran transition guru?
Well, I appreciate that. I don't think I'm much of an influencer, but I think that's just the way people feel anyway. But I would
I
tell you,
got the numbers to prove it right now. I'm watching. You got one of the highest numbers ratings on all the shows I have. I'm just seeing this right now, just right in front of me. So I'm not BS and blowing smoke. I'm seeing numbers.
well, I'm glad you're able to see that stuff. So let me tell you, and I'm going to be very honest, right? So November of 2016, everybody knows him as VP James Van Pruin. And I say his name wrong, and he's been my friend for years, but I don't care. I call him VP. It's just easier for me. He actually said, "Hey, listen, you'd be perfect for a podcast. Your personality, blah 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 blah." And he went through this long spiel of why I should be a podcaster. And at the end of all the talking, because if you ever talk to him, you really can't get in until he's actually done, which is kind of like me. But I said, "What's a podcast?" At that point in my life, just thinking about it at that time, I was still really just moving with the Army and doing Army stuff. So I didn't really look at all those things. I didn't social media and a podcast. It wasn't a big thing to me. So he told me, explained to me. I was like, okay, cool. So I took a couple of days and I decided that this would be a good topic, if you will. Well, he brought me in and introduced me to Chris Kremitzos, who Florida Podcaster Association, creator of Podfest, and throughout that time, just the relationships. And I would tell you the thing about podcasting that's become just an amazing thing for me in multiple avenues, not just podcasting, by the way, but it's the relationships that have been established since January of 2017 when we launched on January 9th. It's just been an amazing journey. I mean, I've met people that have nothing to do with transition from the military. I've met all different types of genres of people. And there's some other things that lended that, network growth, if you will, which I think is the paramount, the most important thing for any transitioning service member. Forget a resume. I mean, don't forget it. You got to do them, but networking is key, right? And so anyway, podcasting, VP had an idea about creating a podcast network. We jumped in with Chris Kremitzos when he came up with the idea of having microcons for Podfest, and Military Creator Con was born. He's given us the reins to do great things in that space, and it's new, right? So we actually had the first ever Military Creator Con this year. We just did the virtual summit, which was absolutely an amazing thing and a very, very quick time. And they did break the record for virtual summit, largest, which is podcast virtual summit, which is pretty cool, Guinness Book of World Records. But the community in which Chris has created has given us an opportunity to just foster great relationships, right, and continue to move forward. So VP and I just kind of just brainstormed over years of how we can get better, and we're going to grow, and there's going to be a lot of things that are coming out of it. But my passion is not really podcasting, right? So this is actually, it's almost like a thing in which I kind of become good at. I think that I'm recognizable in a lot of spaces because I'm always on here doing things like this, and I don't say no. If someone asks me to be on their show, I'll always say yes, because why? I mean, it's really an honor for someone to say, "Hey, you have something I want to hear that my audience should hear, and I want to give it to you." So I mean, whatever it may be. But when I got out, I really wanted to spend time in the student athlete realm. So I created Change Your Forecast, which is basically using organized sports to teach life and leadership lessons, using organized sports as a foundation to student athletes. And that's high school and collegiate level. Writing a book in regards to that, Life's a Game, Who Knew It Was Baseball, really trying to drive home the fact that organized sports, team oriented, and mostly team oriented, but understanding some individual sports really has a foundation of great growth, right? Through everything. It just teaches a lot of lessons. So anyway, man, when I was getting out, bro, I knew I wanted to be somewhere. I didn't know how to get there. I reached out, became a member of the National Speakers Association. I've been there here in Central Florida for 3 years. Now I'm a member of the board of directors with the National Speakers Association here in Central Florida. What an amazing group of human beings. If anybody out there has aspirations to speak professionally, this is an organization that doesn't teach you how to speak. Go to Toastmasters, because that can help you. Take a public speaking class in college. But the National Speakers Association talks about the business of speaking, and the networking in that place is just phenomenal. So again, anything you talk to me about, Daniel, I will talk about networking, right? It's significant. And that's what I think, that's where we're at, right? I mean, that's why we're doing what we're doing. And that's why I've actually been able to transform, as you would, to a superhero and an aspect or an influencer, because I've really wanted to. I mean, I've wanted to do some things, and I've put myself out there, whether it be to the right people, the wrong people. I mean, I've learned some hard lessons in certain aspects of not just the veteran community, but out there in the real life, right? But
Yeah.
I'm still learning, man. So it's just been really exciting, to be honest.
And that's really cool. And that's the same thing. Networking, I totally agree with you. That's key. I would have never had a digital TV show. I wouldn't have been streaming in 7 locations. I'm going to be able to give the gift for the next 4 months to veterans that are listening, to give them a free opportunity to grow that without networking. If I didn't go to MICSA and met Cortez and then met you guys, I would have never thought of those ideas. And then I got an opportunity for the TV show because of Megan Fenyo, another person that was on my podcast before I went digital TV. So that's huge to go and understand that. So that's key. That is a superhero tactic. So who are you serving right now as you transform the superhero? Who's your main focus and who you want to go over and help grow?
Well, my main focus truly is student athletes. Really, it's and I gotta when I say student athletes, I gotta tell you. So it's the folks that are in a place in life who want to change, who want to make that movement, right? But are stuck in a place where people tell them that they can't, that they won't amount
Mhm.
to, whether it's because they don't have education or because they don't have money or because they're just in a neighborhood that just doesn't allow that, right? Where I mean, it's just there's a million things. That's who I want to serve. That's who I want to get out and say, listen, you can and you will if you so desire. And these are some of the things that you look at. And that's where I want to be. How I'm doing in the veteran space, which I love that part of the community though, is to reach out to anybody or have people reach out to me and just talk, man. If you have a question, I mean, I'm not the be all end all, man. I could probably name drop like 70 people in the transition space that are much better off you talking to them, much better off talking to them than me, right? But I will lend you my ear. I will spend some time on the phone. I will email you and we can talk in that manner. If you have questions,
Mhm.
if you want resources, that's what I want to do is just help answer questions that you have, you know, I mean, and whatever it may be, and just kind of give you that little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not the light. I mean, I'm not going to, I don't have a job to offer. I can't give you money, but what I can do is say, hey, listen, through these last few years of meeting X, Y, and Z, from VP talking to this guy and all that stuff, we've created a pretty large network. And really, I want that to be opened to anybody who wants to use it. So, I mean, if you listen to my podcast on the other side, Leadership After Transition, you'll see some pretty great guests on there. You'll hear some really great stories. But most importantly, you'll hear people who want to help you. So if you want to be connected to them and you weren't, it would be great. It would be my pleasure not to actually provide that introduction because man, what are we doing if we're not giving back to the people? You know, I mean, that's the way the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah, that's totally what we focus on here too. It's like we want to empower you to get to your next steps, either in your marriage, in your family, in your leadership, because we want you to get to that next mission and to go over and to thrive. We don't want the homeless veteran. We don't want the person that's committing suicide. We don't want the person that's depressed and can't connect with their kids. We don't want the person that's one step away from an opportunity. Just like Vert Force, you think of Kimber. I think of like there's great opportunities with her in the job front. Jamie Chapman, I interviewed last month, like great in that realm. It's just like we sometimes we're just one step away from the potential greatness in our next step in our mission, and just be able to give that is fantastic. So I wanted to see if you could give us 3 superhero tactics that you learned in your transformation process that you can give to people so they can take that away with them.
Three tactics. So one is don't stretch yourself so thin. I really want to be a giver more than a taker. As a matter of fact, you could pretty much ask anybody. I've never really asked anybody for anything. I mean, I have a problem doing that. I mean, it's just one of those things that I'm an egotistical guy, I guess, in my own mind that I don't want to ask for help. So what I do in turn is, what can I do for you? And I want to give the world. And a lot of times, because I want to do that, it actually eats up into my personal time with my family or other things, right, that are still a priority to me, but I want to help. So don't overextend, first of all, right? Or don't
Mhm.
oversell, I guess you'd say, is don't say you can do something if you can't. It's very tough. You want to, but you can't do everything, right? The other thing is just be genuine, be you, right? I got to tell you, I can't be somebody else. I
Mhm.
promise you on everything holy that there's been times in my transition that I've wanted to. I mean, I've a lot of people that spent time with me while in the military. They talk to me and they're like, "Wow, man, you don't say this word or that word." 'Cause I used to cuss all the time like a sailor,
Yeah.
and I've transformed that just because there's a different audience. But nonetheless, I might have changed some words, but I'm still exactly who I was. I still have the same humor. I try not to take everything serious. I like to be down, you know, a little bit less stressful than most people. Um, but it's because I'm genuine. I'm who I am. I can't be somebody else. And if I try to be, I'll be fake. And at some point in time, it's going to come out and you're going to be like, this guy's garbage. Right. And
Yeah.
that's something I see often, to be honest with you, throughout, I don't want to just say our community within the veteran space, but just in space in general is you can find a phony, and it doesn't take too long. And I think that once they're identified, it's really hard to put any type of trust, faith, and confidence in them. So
Yeah.
what I do is just I give you what I am, and you can accept it or not. It's up to you. That's your choice. But be genuine. And the
Mm.
third thing, man, I kind of alluded to it a little bit. Give, man, give.
Mm.
There's so many folks sitting like this, man. There's so many folks. Do this, please, please. Will you give me, give me, give me? And and I apologize to put my hands in the camera, but that's
Yeah.
what it looks like to me when I'm sitting there, and every conversation I have is, hey, can you? Well,
Mm.
yeah, I can, and I will do it because I want to give. But that gets
Mm.
exhausting. There has to be some reciprocation, right? There's got to be reciprocal in a sense. But man, I would tell you, if you start with the idea of giving, you'll get so much in return because of the fact that you're just giving. I mean, VP is a prime example. I mean, I'm nowhere near as giving as that guy, and he and
Yeah.
I, kind of butt heads in a lot of things because I tell him stop so much. But look at his relationships. Look at the people in which are dealing with him. I mean, the guy. I mean, he could probably be anywhere in the world and make a phone call, and somebody is going to give him what he needs at that exact moment because of the fact that freely he gives his time, he gives his effort. He connects folks, and that's what I've tried to emulate because that's something in which he does that I truly admire, and I've just seen that if you do give, you get it back. So those are the three things I would tell you.
Yeah, I think that's totally huge about that genuine part of being authentic. That's what our generation is looking for, to rip off the mask, not to go over and do that. And yeah, I've come to find out as you go over and give, and you want to give authentically and you want to give upfront, because people are susceptible on things. If you give and you don't tell them like what the end result is, it's like you totally ruin that relationship. So those are fantastic things to go over and clean off. So where can people go over and connect with you if they want to learn more information or have some thoughts they have on transition?
Sure, LinkedIn, man. Look, first and foremost, my son's name is Jeffrey as well, but he's not on any social media platform. So if you look up my last name Lodick, right, Lodick, Jeffrey, if you find Jeffrey Lodick, it's me. Period. So
Mm.
up with me on LinkedIn. I love that platform. It's my favorite any ever. Facebook, you can connect with me there. I mean, I do a lot more personal stuff there. But if you
Mm.
want to be involved in my personal stuff, you can surely come on that way. And that's pretty much it. I mean, really, to be honest with you, and you can jump into the Facebook group to go and listen to on the other side stuff. I put all the videos on there, and obviously for the podcast, so I cut the or strip the audio out and put that up on the podcast. But you get to watch
Mm.
live and interact, kind of like we're doing right now. I use StreamYard. I think it's a great platform. It's just very intuitive, and I love what it can do and what they're doing to keep it growing and just being competitive in that nature is absolutely awesome. You can feel like an actual producer because it's so easy to maneuver stuff around a little bit. And initially, not so much. But anyway, that's where people can find me. But LinkedIn would be the preferred choice because that's where you're going to get a lot of the professional stuff, and I can actually interact that way.
Yeah, I agree with total StreamYard and everything else. 7 platforms streaming. I never thought to this day. And then even my TV show gets uploaded. So speaking of that, if you guys are watching and you like Jeffrey's interview, you want to find out more information, you want to dive deeper into the interview. This interview is 23 minutes and 46 seconds and counting, and we have a lot of views, but that's how we get Jeffrey to the next step. He has competition though. Every interview we do Monday through Friday, whoever gets the most views within 3 days gets uplifted. 3 seconds of the time is all you have to give within 3 days. So we want you to listen to all the wisdom of 24 minutes and 5 seconds and counting. But if you don't have the time and you just want to support Jeffrey and upload him to the next level to our digital TV platform, streaming on 15 different platforms as Amazon, Roku, Apple TV, now reaching 10 to 14,000, really get the message out there. Hey, give him 3 seconds of your time. We're going to show the little competition throughout the week and whatnot. But if he makes the most, then we uplift him to the show. And now he gets to take that message to veterans, not just on the local streaming platform, but on the local digital TV platform. So, Jeffrey, I want to thank you for going over and joining. It was a great conversation. Any parting shots before we close out?
Of course, I always have something to say. It's my last 2 cents. But look, Daniel, I want to say thank you for inviting me on here. I've watched I watch a lot of your stuff, although I don't comment. I know you've actually made comments about me not commenting, but I'll watch because, really podcasting, live streaming, these things have offered an opportunity, right, for voices to be heard, and you're giving people the opportunity to have their voices heard who otherwise wouldn't be doing it. And these stories are important. It's not. I don't believe my story is important as important as somebody else's or less important. There's just things that need to be said, and what you're doing is you're providing an outlet for people to speak. And I'll tell you, whether one person listens or 17,000 people listen, the bottom line is you're giving them the ability to do so. I want to thank you for what you're doing, and I will continue to support you. So thank you so much for having me on tonight. And I look forward to continuing a relationship with you in the future. And if there's anything I can do to help you continue to grow, I'm here to help, man.
Yeah, our heart is just to get more people to connect and to give that opportunity. So if you know any people that want to do our 4-month beta, we're going to send out all their content through these 7 streams. We're using live pigeon to do that. And we're also, if anybody's wanting to uplift their message to television, we'd love to go over and connect those military veterans, because we want our voices to go over and change. We want to rewrite the script in suicide, rewrite the script in homelessness, rewrite the script in those particular places. And this gives us a caveat. And even the fun stuff, like, hey, if we have MMA wrestlers, a banter on a podcast, I have a maintenance crew we're looking into. We're just going over and growing, and we want to serve them and serve them well, and make them serve well in their transformation from the bedroom to the boardroom. So any way that does that, if people are interested, or if you know anybody, Jeffrey, that'd be greatly appreciated, because we want to grow this into an awesome place that we can lobby in places that, not just through television, but also bring that camaraderie together to go rewrite those scripts in those rooms. That's our heart and our goal, because we've had that for ourselves, me and my wife and my kids. The military has blessed us so much, and we want to do the same with the military veteran first responder community.
Awesome. That's amazing. I'm here to get it going with you, man.
That'd be awesome. Well, thank you guys for going over and joining. The views are amazing. I am so proud. So let's keep it rolling and keep passing on. Shares, I get excited. I might just do a dance. So if you want to see me dance or a one-hand clap, go over and do some shares. All right. So thanks, guys. We will see you on the next War Heroes